Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to call our meeting to order. We're going to have a roll call by our Assistant City Clerk, Claire Lopez.
Let the record reflect all members are present.
If you all rise and join us, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Deputy Mayor Rigby.
Please join us as we say the pledge to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do.
In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, the members of the Buena Sanitation District will receive compensation of $147.75 for the district meeting pursuant to Buena Sanitation District Ordinance 2006-1. I'd like to remind everyone that the Vista Municipal Code requires members of the public to observe order and decorum during the meeting and to conduct themselves in a courteous manner. The ordinance was adopted to allow for public input and to facilitate city business without disruption of our meeting. Applause is appropriate for items listed under the presentation portion of the agenda only. Attendees should remain seated during the meeting, and persons needing to stand are requested to step outside the City Council chambers where video and audio of the meeting are playing. This is also listed on our agenda cover sheet. Students wishing to receive credit for attending this evening's meeting must stay for a minimum of 1 hour. Tonight, we might be less than an hour. This looks like we don't have a huge agenda. However, we ask that you stay for the completion of an item rather than leaving in the middle of a discussion. When you're ready to leave, you may ask one of the sheriff deputies or a staff member in the back of the room to sign your paper. To speak on an item on the agenda, please fill out a speaker slip with the number of item you want to speak on. Give it to the city clerk secretary, and speaker slips are available just outside the city council chambers on the desk out there. So approval of the agenda by our assistant city manager, Allie Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one change tonight. Item C6 is being removed from the agenda.
Okay, we did have a closed session this evening. Our city attorney, Daryl Piper, is going to bring us out of the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council did meet in closed session on item CS1 on this evening's closed session agenda. No action was taken that is required to be reported at this time. Thank you.
Okay, and we have two presentations this evening. So first, I'd like to invite the students from Vista Magnet Middle School to come forward and talk about the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Vista's Big Give.
Good evening. I am Donovan Finella, and this is
Christopher Baker.
We're here on behalf of the Outside Public Relations Division of a community project that we're doing as a school in 8th grade. And so this is the presentation that we worked on for you tonight. So you might be wondering, what is Vistas Big Give? And so Vistas Big Give is an event in which all of VUSD, or Vista Unified School District, helps to support children battling life-threatening illnesses. It's important to note that all money raised by this event goes towards the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And during this event, there are two wish kids that we have, which we will discuss later. And it's important to note that it also occurs every 2 years. So 2008, if it occurred this year, 2020, the last one was in 2018. And so it was originally started in 2008 by a single teacher within the Vista Unified School District. It is also one of the biggest fundraising events for Make-A-Wish, and it has raised over $300,000 in the last 10 years. The Vista's Big Give current standings, so far we have raised roughly $15,000 since we've begun the event this year. And the goal for the money we need to raise is $50,000. And it's important to note that the final day for collecting money is February 21st, 2020, which is rapidly approaching. However, the final day for online donations is March 10th, 2020. And so in order to donate, because that's essential for us to meet our goal, here's how we would exactly get to the website. So if you follow the link that we provided on the last slide, this is what you're going to see as soon as you click the link. And that will direct you towards the donation page as seen by the tab below, which then takes you to our donation page. And as we mentioned, the final day to donate is March 10th, 2020. And as you can see, you need to click Donate Now and enter all the necessary information in order to do so.
So for those of you who are not familiar with Make-A-Wish started around 1980 with a boy named Chris who was diagnosed with leukemia with his one wish to be a police officer when he grew up. Now, unfortunately, with his terminal illness, it was known that he would not be able to live out that dream. So a bunch of his family and community members came together to give him a police day where he was able to have hope throughout his illness. These are our two wish kids. Our first wish kid is Roxon. He is 5 years old from Oceanside, California, and his wish is to have a Disney cruise with Marble Day, and his condition is leukemia. He is known to be loving and charismatic and enjoys spending time with his family, such as eating out and watching Marvel movies, and also enjoys water, which, as you can see, comes together with Marvel, water, Disney cruise with a Marble Day. And our second wish kid's name is Sarah. She is 17 years old, right here in Vista, California. Her wish is to have an adaptive tricycle to overcome her nervous system disorder. She is known to be adventurous and fun-loving, social, and joyous around family and strangers alike, and does not let anything hold her down. So the current and previous events we've had with Vistas Big Give was started with our golf tournament and Portraits for Patients, which happened around November 7th and raised $5,000. We also had our pancake breakfast that occurred February 1st, 2020, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the American Legion, where we served pancakes, bacon, scrambled eggs, juice, and coffee, where we raised $2,440. Wish Week, which is currently going on, happens from February 10th through the 21st, and donations are being raised by all Vista Unified School District schools. Upcoming events is our all-middle school dance from February 21st, at February 1st, 2020 at North Coast Church. We also have other on-campus fundraisers and a check presentation for our Wish Kids, March 13th, 2020. Reasons you should get involved is showing your support towards our Wish Kids, Roxanne and Sarah. Getting involved can also get others involved too, like a group community involvement. Businesses that donate to Vistas Big Give will also release a tax exemption, giving them a much needed tax break. This was our video to advertise Make-A-Wish, but unfortunately we have been informed that the video cannot work due to the format. So
if you're wondering necessarily what the contents of the video are, it's explaining how exactly a wish helps a child in need. So say, for instance, if there is a child with a life-threatening illness and they are granted this wish that they have, it gives them a sense of empowerment that they need in order to progress forward through their treatment process. And it gives them a sense of hope and to carry on through the treatment process. And it has shown through data to make a significant impact on how they recover from their illness.
So our current goal is to raise $50,000, have 100% participation from all Vista Magnet students, and 100% participation from all of the Vista Unified School District. As Steve Bloom once said, a meaningful life isn't found but created through our actions, and it starts with looking for ways to help others.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Do I have any questions here from the council? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for being here. I've had the pleasure and the honor to attend your check presentation several times, and it's an awe-inspiring experience to see the families of the kids that you fulfill their wishes for. What you're doing for the community is so amazing, and I'm so proud of you. And I thank you very, very much for doing this and for coming here and sharing with us tonight. And I will go online and I will donate. We'll do that tonight after our council meeting. So look for that to come. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come here tonight and present.
Councilmember Franklin.
Well, I just want to reiterate how proud we are of you for being involved in the community and for having the desire to help others and putting that into action. It's so easy to make a contribution. I just did one right now, so I would encourage everybody to visit your website and do that. Thanks again for being here.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Green.
I just want to echo everything my fellow council members said. You guys did a great job presenting. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for representing Vista. I have already bought my 2 tickets for my son for his all middle school dance. It's my understanding you guys sell that dance out, and there's only a certain amount of tickets. So it seems like a great fundraiser. Thanks for raising money. And I couldn't get the bandwidth here on my phone to donate, but I will be hopping online to donate as well. So thank you so much for bringing it. I'll also throw it on my website and all of my social media to try to bring as much awareness to your cause as possible. So I appreciate you guys again doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Councilmember Contreras and I all agree with you also, so we appreciate you. And I've been to many of your big gives, and I think it's just amazing to attend those and see, the different people, the different kids that they bring forward. So I want to thank all of you. Thank you for coming and doing that presentation, and hopefully you're very successful with this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next presentation will be Captain Greg Reilersdam. He's going to provide the Vista Sheriff Station update.
Good evening, all. Before I start, I'd like to introduce our new lieutenant to the station, Nancy Blanco. Came to us from the Communications Center about 4 weeks ago, so getting her up to speed. Sorry about that. I have a really loud voice and it echoes against the walls. I didn't even need to notice I needed the mic, but I know it's being recorded. So Nancy Blanco, lieutenant with the department. She's had about a 20-year career up to this point, and we're thrilled to have her in Vista. So, all right, I'll begin. This is a recap for 2019, so thanks for giving me an opportunity to come and talk to you all tonight. I wanted to point out that calls for service this year have actually decreased in the city and in the county. So when you look at that, and then you look at the increases in the deputy-initiated activity, we've talked about it before, when there's a decrease in the calls that we have to go to, then we're able to actually go out and do some proactive things, which are really beneficial when it comes to crime rate, which you'll see in another slide. But when you look at those numbers still do reflect about an average of 7 calls an hour, 7 days a week, 365 days, 24 hours a day. So busy but productive. Good news is our crime rate's down approximately another 3%. We're at an 18.1 now, and we continue to have a lower crime rate than we've had since 1995, which is wonderful. I'm always happy to see that slope continue a downward trend and not an upward trend. We're seeing a lot of that across the county, so there's a lot of good things going on in law enforcement. Before, we've talked about PERT and our calls for service for PERT. You can see that they've actually decreased this year by 6% in the city. They've gone up about 17% in the county. And I include those unincorporated numbers because the folks that we're actually using in the city do have to go over the line occasionally to help with calls that are in the county. While that does show a decrease, it's important to note that these are actually calls that our PERT clinicians go out and handle. And department-wide, we'd love to have our PERT program working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We're not there yet. And in the city of Vista, we're very fortunate to have 2 excellent PERT clinicians and 2 deputies that team with those clinicians that go to these types of calls for people that are in mental health distress. The way that we staff it currently is generally on our overlap hours 7 days a week, and those hours are usually mid-afternoon through evening, noon to 10 o'clock at night, or 2 to midnight. And it's because that is generally, when we look across the board, those are really where those calls for service concentrate. But at the end of the day, those calls are 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So it's difficult to staff clinician spots. Folks go to school, and I don't think any of them go to school with the intent of hopping into a police car, throwing a bulletproof vest on, and a utility belt, and responding to calls with patrol deputies. We're so fortunate. We have 2 clinicians who have been with us for a number of years that are gifted in what they do, and very, very blessed. We're very blessed to have them working with us. I've worked in several other commands over my 31 years, and we're not always as fortunate to have folks. We have a lot of folks that come in, do it for a period of time and say, this is not for me, I did not sign up for this. And so then we bring someone else in and train them up again and train them up again. So our PERT program and working with PERT Incorporated, we're really doing our best to identify folks that can come in and give us that base of service. We have two issues primarily that stand out in Vista and the surrounding area, but in the city of Vista, theft and assaults. We're looking good across the board on most other crime types, but theft is a big one for us. And theft encompasses many things, but the largest part of our theft is actually shoplifting. And that's not unusual. That's what we're seeing in all of our jurisdictions that we cover, and other areas covered by other agencies, not Sheriff's Department Incorporated stuff. 49%, that's a big number. And this is a hotspot map that I had our crime analysis unit drop. I said, I would love for you to be able to give me a graphic representation of where this theft occurs. And I'm sure that you can all identify that volcano that's right there, and that's down at North County Square, which is our major retail. If I was to bring other things to light, we have theft at Costco, we have theft in the shopping center down at the Vaughn Shopping Center, down at Civic Center and Santa Fe, but that is nothing there compares to what's actually happening down at North County Square. So,
if I may, Captain,
yes.
I understand that Target has taken steps recently to increase the number of shoplifters that they're citing, taking a more aggressive stance towards shoplifting.
Yes, they have, and the retailers are all handling it a little differently. I'm sure you've seen when you go to Walmart. Walmart is choosing to lock a lot of things up and have a button to be pushed for a clerk to come. Target's taking a different approach. Target is bolstering their loss prevention, and it is Target's goal not to let anybody steal at Target. I want
to publicly commend Target for doing that and for making their Vista locations places where Vistans want to shop.
Yes.
By driving that bad element out by an increased prevention effort, it's going to mean a better, safer, cleaner place for us to shop. So I want to publicly notice them and commend them for doing that.
Yeah, and we are working with them to roll out some pilot projects that will allow them to accomplish their goals and help us accomplish our goals with as far as documentation of those crimes. So what we currently do is we show up, they've already written a report, we take their report, we take the arrest, we bring the person back, we take their report, put it in our system. It's a real convoluted and long drawn out process, but what we're doing is working with them so they can directly input their narratives into our report management system. And then there's a step with the DA that works on the prosecution of those cases, but any time that we don't spend doing that is time that deputies can use to handle calls that are probably more important for quality of life issues in the city of Vista.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
So, if it's under $900, are you still prosecuting that, or is that if it's over $900, are you prosecuting? I mean, I know you over that, but isn't it $900 the limit?
No. Several years ago, the state of California changed the charging thresholds for felony theft.
Right.
$950 from $400 to $950. So below $950 is still prosecuted depending on the facts of the case and what the DA chooses or chooses not to do. But I'm sure that you can all picture in your minds walking into a Target and how much you'd have to walk out to go over the $50 threshold. So
maybe they're locking up the smaller stuff that's more expensive, and that would help. So, okay.
Our other issue is assaults. And assaults, we've had problems in both areas, assaults and theft. 40 to 50% of all of our assaults are domestic violence in nature, and we've talked about that previously. And so we've really been looking at those things and trying to figure out what we can do to stave some of that off. And I wish the answer was as easy as having crime prevention go out and knocking on every person's door and hand them a pamphlet and tell them, domestic violence is bad, but that's not reality. So we have been working with several of the NGOs, Mano a Mano, the Vista Community Clinic, Universidad Popular, who have folks that come to them for educational pieces in several different areas of their lives. And the Sheriff's Department has prepared some documentation that can be delivered and some educational content through our domestic violence liaisons to provide that information. Because as a practical matter, what we do is we get a call, anecdotally we'll get a call, a woman will call us and say that she's in an argument with her husband, and a deputy will go out and respond, and another deputy will accompany them to cover them. We'll contact the couple and find out what's going on. She'll say, we were in a fight, a verbal fight. He was saying mean things to me and I slapped him. And we say, oof, if you slapped him, the domestic violence laws in the state of California mandate that we take someone into custody, the primary aggressor, which would be her in this case because she was the physical assaulter. We arrest her, we take her down to the station, we book her into Vista Jail where she spends 1 to 3 days depending on what the court schedule is. A deputy writes a report that goes to the district attorney's office for consideration for filing. Those reports, in a circumstance like that, based on my 2-year experience here in Vista and previous experience elsewhere, a lot of those cases are not prosecuted. And so now we've arrested somebody, taken them out of their home for up to 72 hours, done a lot of paperwork and other legwork to get to the DA's office where it's not prosecuted. The person is released, and most of those folks are not reoffending. So what it really turns into is a circumstance where we're educating people via arrest. And I don't think any of us signed up to educate people via arrest. And so if we can educate without the arrest component and not negatively impact someone's life, and we can give them information that lets them know what they can do legally and what they can't do legally, and what happens when we get involved in their lives when some of these things are going on, we're hoping that we're going to be able to reduce some of those numbers as it relates to domestic violence on the assault parts. And if that happens, it's much like last time when I was here and we spoke about theft from vehicles, which we spoke about it, and gosh, those numbers kind of dipped. It's an education piece. They come and they go up and down, but at this point, theft from vehicles has remained relatively static. Every one of these categories that we can have a positive impact on absolutely affect our crime rate in the city of Vista. So just some of the stuff that we're doing on the department to try to think outside the box and help people live a better life in the community of Vista. So that's all I have, and I'm available for questions.
Councilmember Franklin.
I just wanted to say thank you to you and all of our deputies here in Vista for all your good work keeping us safe and all your efforts to bring us the lowest crime rate in many decades. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Councilmember Contreras.
Thank you, Captain Ryler-Stam, for the presentation and for all the work that you're doing here in the community. I have a question regarding the domestic violence portion that you went over. It's just a little bit difficult to tell on this map. Does this area comprise of the transit center and the multifamily housing that's around there? Is that what I'm looking at?
It does, yes. That's a hotspot map. 80% of our domestic violence related calls in the city of Vista are north of the 78. That's what that really shows. I had, again, crime analysis pull all of the location data for domestic violence arrests in the last year to give you an illustration of where they actually occur. And you can see some of the other yellow shaded areas. Those were, but I call it the volcano. That's the largest concentration. Yeah, that's in that area though.
So just kind of dissecting that a little bit more. In mentioning the transit center, are we seeing a lot of domestic violence or assault happening there, or?
No, not, and so I'm sorry if you took that by what I said. That's not what it is. That area right there actually probably encompasses a couple square miles easily. So I mean, if I'm looking at it, it's north Santa Fe and south of Beaubier, and I mean, that's a really large area right there.
Yeah.
So we don't. Yeah, we're not responding to the transit center for a slew of domestic violence calls.
Yeah, that's
not
what
our
I was. I wasn't sure exactly where the transit center fit in there because I know. I mean, it's really high density around in that area.
Yeah, the transit center is probably just at maybe the 5:30 or 6 o'clock on the yellowest part of that outside volcano.
And are we seeing with any of these pilot programs or initiatives that we're taking and partnering up with some of the other organizations here in Vista, are we seeing progress? Is it too soon to make that type of statement?
It's a little soon, and so to be completely honest, we've been working on this for about the last 6 months. Everybody has an agenda and information that they're trying to push out to the community, and this did take a little time for us to actually introduce to some of these programs. They have robust educational programs already. They don't stop what they're doing to accommodate us, and nor would I ever expect that. But they're a trusted ally in the community, and so that's where we did the outreach on this. We really got in about 2 or 3 months ago, and we did see some number decreases. But again, it's much too early. And do I anticipate this will make domestic violence go away? I do not. Do I anticipate that it could go either way? I want it to help DV go down because I really think if we say when these things happen, there are ramifications and there are arrests that will come from this. The other side of this is there's a potential for increased reporting. And some folks are afraid of increased reporting. I am not. I would much rather know what's going on in the community and try to be able to address those issues rather than intimidate and scare people so they don't want to report those things. That is absolutely not what we want. So,
certainly. I have a few other questions. In looking at the change from 2018 to 2019 totals, and City of Vista, our sphere of influence, has a little bit of Bonzel and whatnot. But this crime, the reduction in 18.5% for the unincorporated crime rate, that's a huge drop.
Yeah, and if...
Does that have to do anything with encampments in the rivers, or?
No, it's the unincorporated show a large swing, and you'll see that in the PERT calls as well, because the calls for service, there's so much fewer calls for service that another 100 calls dramatically impacts that number. Vista has a large number, so the boat moves a much smaller distance. But so
there's nothing major that's driving that. It's just okay.
Yeah, it's they probably mirror each other, but if I have 10 fewer calls in the city and 10 fewer calls in the county is going to reflect a much better number because it's a smaller ratio. Definitely.
Okay. And last question. We're at our lowest crime rate here. Do you happen to know off the top of your head what percentage is domestic violence or assault of that 18.1?
I could get you the number, but I don't have it. It comes in as a crime rate number, so there would have to be a calculation.
Okay.
I can get that for you.
Yeah, I would love to take a look at that data. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Deputy Mayor Rigby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for this report. You all are doing a great job for us, and it shows. And I want to say welcome to our new lieutenant. And this Councilwoman Contreras had the same questions I did regarding domestic violence. And so I would be interested in those numbers as well.
Sure.
Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Green.
I just wanted to thank you for an amazing report, Captain Rylersdam, super informative. Also, Lieutenant Nancy Blanco, welcome to Vista. I've actually seen you at some community things already, so you're already out letting your presence be known and smile a lot, which is great. The community likes that. I did want to commend you 4 years in a row on a declining crime rate. What an amazing accomplishment. And to be leaving our city as the sheriff's captain with the lowest crime rate in over 25 years.
Not leaving yet.
But when you are, It's coming. It's coming. It's coming before the end of the year, you know. So to have that number on your belt, that's great for a resume. So anyway, thank you for all that you've done. It's been great. And your outreach to the community and just your demeanor with our citizens has really been amazing. And I really appreciate the personal touches that you've kind of made to our community. So
Absolutely. It's
thank
my
you so much,
pleasure.
Greg.
Love Vista.
And with that, well, thank you so much. We appreciate all of you and all of your men that are out in our city all the time protecting our lives. So
And
we
our women.
appreciate that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, yeah, that was good. With that, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. The recommendations on the following consent calendar will be enacted in one motion unless an item is removed from the calendar. Any member of the public may remove an item by submitting a request to speak card to the clerk's secretary, and items removed from the consent calendar will be considered immediately following adoption of the calendar. We have 6 consent items this evening, with item C6 having been removed. And so do we have any speakers? No. Okay, anything removed? If not, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I see Deputy
Madam
Mayor
Mayor,
Rigby. Or is that,
I was just going
is
to
that the
move-
old one?
No, this is.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to move that we adopt the consent calendar as presented.
Okay. And Councilmember Green.
I just need to record an abstention for item number C5. And with that, I will second Deputy Mayor Rigby's motion.
Okay, with that, if you would please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. And with that, we are to oral communications. I have 3 speakers this evening, and so we'll take those next. First is Katie Melendez, followed by Peggy Walker, followed by Becky Rapp.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm glad we had such a great presentation on public safety because there are just a couple of public safety issues that I wanted to bring to your attention, let you know some of the things that I've been noticing. So I live in Vista near the Transit Center, and that street, Olive, has a lot of activity between the Sprinter, buses, cars, and pedestrians, but on Olive, there are a couple of infrastructure improvements that need to be made. The first one is that there are no pedestrian crossings on Olive between Vista Village and Melrose. So instead of using crosswalks at either Vista Village or Melrose, most folks just cross the street wherever they can, but that's not the safest, and I think we would benefit from a designated crosswalk, probably near that roundabout on Olive. And the next thing is that my neighbors and I have noticed that there is really poor lighting on Olive past the transit center, and cars go around that turn really, really quickly. And so when people are walking from the transit center or anywhere down Olive, up Olive, past the transit center towards Melrose, there is kind of a lot of risks of being hit by cars, especially when it gets a little bit darker at night. So I think that poorly lit strip could be very dangerous, especially for people who are walking. I know that when I walk it, I tend to not feel super safe and comfortable, especially after we've had multiple occurrences of pedestrians getting hit by cars. So anything that we can do to improve lighting on Olive and take preventative measures to improve public safety, I think could be very helpful. I also think that we want to improve walkability as much as we can near those transportation hubs so that we can encourage more riderships. I know that our ridership is pretty low on our public transit, and anything we can do to improve public safety, improve ridership would be a good thing. So I hope this is something you guys can take action on. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Peggy Walker. She'll be followed by Becky Rapp.
Good evening, Council. My name is Peggy Walker, and I've worked in drug use and tobacco use prevention education for many, many years, still do, and it troubles and concerns me to see the toll that marijuana and vape use are wreaking on our children. And so I wanted to come here tonight because at last week's meeting, when you discussed the marijuana business license fees, you had some wonderful ideas. You talked about education for our youth, some other action items like flavor bans, and I commend you for those. Those are good ideas. If you are really interested in helping youth, I would urge you to be even more proactive by going one step farther and implementing or enacting a ban on all flavors and on all vaping products, including refillable tank systems that promote pot use. The county has just passed such a ban, banning flavors and banning all vaping products until the FDA has proven them safe. Other cities and municipalities and states, too, are passing these, so I hope you will consider it. You may know that a federal ban became effective February 6th, but it has loopholes. That's why local municipal bans are important. The federal ban prohibits flavors and refillable cartridge-based e-cigarettes like Juul. However, the ban has a loophole in that it allows the e-cig industry to continue selling disposable e-cigs and e-cig products. As a result, there's been a surge in sales among kids, they'll always find a way, in these disposable products. These disposable products include all flavors, and sales are kicking up for labels you may have seen like Blue, Posh, Dig, and the infamous Puff Bar, which happens to have more e-liquid than a Juul pod. At $7 to $10 a pop, these disposables are more cost-effective than, say, a pack of Juul pods for $30. Also not included in the federal ban are e-cigs with an open tank system and their respective e-liquids that can contain THC as high as 60 to 90% concentrate. With the FDA reporting 27% of high school students using e-cigs, and with about 5 million high school and middle school students using them, flavor bans and moratoriums on all vape products until proven safe are extremely important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Becky Rapp?
Good evening. My name is Becky Rapp. I am a parent of 6, 3 of whom are young adults. I am very aware of the harms that marijuana commercialization and normalization are creating for them. As pointed out in the recent U.S. Surgeon General's advisory, Marijuana Use and Developing Brain, which I have a handout for you, marijuana has changed over time. The marijuana available today is much stronger than previous versions. The THC concentration in cultivated marijuana plants has increased threefold between 1995 and 2014. Marijuana available in dispensaries can have an average concentration of THC between 17 and 23%, and concentrated products, commonly known as dabs or waxes, are far more widely available to recreational users today and may contain between 23 and 75% THC. The risks of physical dependence, addiction, and other negative consequences increase with exposure to high concentrations of THC, and the younger the age of the initiation, higher doses of THC are more likely to produce anxiety, agitation, paranoia, and psychosis. Edible marijuana takes time to absorb and to produce its effects, increasing the risk of unintentional overdose as well as accidental ingestion by children and adolescents. In addition, chronic users of marijuana with a high THC content are at risk for developing a condition known as cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, which is marked by severe cycles of nausea and vomiting. Like all drugs, first use of marijuana generally happens before the age of 21, and availability and advertising drives use in our city. 2 months ago, the Bureau of Cannabis Control clamped down on 470 permitted marijuana retailers, delivery services, distributors, and micro businesses that failed to comply with the mandatory track and trace training and credentialing. Permitted marijuana businesses, and we're not talking about the unpermitted ones, don't seem to care about their community like these 470. And it would be my hope that the city of Vista would put strong enforcement practices in place. As we suggested at the last city council meeting, marijuana business fees and taxes should go towards a marijuana retail license program similar to the tobacco retail licensure, which would reduce sales to underage people of 21 which are the most vulnerable in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our last speaker, and so from there I will go into our remarks from the council. I have my little comments here, which I'll do those first. Last night at the 18th Annual San Diego Theater Critics Circle Awards, I think must be like the Academy Awards for the theater, the Moonlight Stage Productions took home 3 awards. Moonlight earned one of the major awards when its production of West Side Story was named Best Resident Musical. Also recognized for West Side Story was actress Courtney Arango, who won Outstanding Featured Performance in a Musical for her portrayal of Anita. Finally, our own city employee, Moonlight Managing Director Colleen Collar-Smith, won the award for Outstanding Choreography for her work on Matilda the musical. So I want to congratulate all of the Moonlight people that put on those plays every summer. They put a lot of work into that, and they're wonderful plays. I want to congratulate them on the awards that they got this year. So second is Love Your Heart Day is this Friday, February 14th. It's also Valentine's Day. The public can get free blood pressure checks at the McClellan Senior Center, Vista Library, and the Vista Community Clinic. So check online at livewellsandiego.org for more information on that. So love your heart on Friday as well as your Valentine. Art volunteers are providing free tax preparation services at the McClellan Senior Center through April. Schedule an appointment at 760-643-5290, and the priority will go to the seniors at the center. The city maintains and trims about 6,000 street trees that grow on public property. The inspection and trimming schedule is now online at cityofvista.com to provide the public with more information on when maintenance is scheduled to take place on our trees. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. So with that, I will pass it on down to, I'll start down with Councilmember Contreras this time. We'll start at the other end.
Well, it was an amazing discussion as usual. Very short this time, so I know you all are, excited to wait for the next agenda to come around and come back to City Council to watch this play out again. So please bring a friend. Let's fill up the council chambers and let's have a good time discussing Vista. As always, every Wednesday at Luz Duran Park, we have a trash pickup that I help lead, and people start gathering around 8:30, 8:40, and we start walking at 9 a.m. So anybody who wants to join, we have a good time. We walk about 2-3 miles, pick up about 120 gallons of trash. And again, we do that every Wednesday. We start walking at 9 a.m. at Luz Duran Park. So come join in on the fun. And I hope everybody has a really good rest of their night.
Councilmember Green.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and staying for the entire duration of this meeting. It was definitely a grind. I do want to give a special shout out to Colleen Kohler-Smith, who is a graduate of Rancho Buena Vista High School. And there's nothing we like better than seeing local talent come back and shine in our city. So super stoked to see her win a big award for Matilda, which was also a great play. If you haven't been to the Moonlight, show up. They got 5 shows this year, so one extra opportunity. And also just a big thank you to our Sheriff's Department here for your presentation and just for keeping our community safe and working so hard. Really appreciate you.
Councilmember Franklin. No comments. Deputy Mayor Rigby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to reiterate congratulations to the Moonlight Amphitheater and everybody for the awards. Moonlight is one of the many gems in our community that makes us who we are as Vistans, and it's quite an honor, and I'm very proud of that. I do want to say that last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was the North County Veterans Stand Down over here at Green Oak Ranch in Shadow Ridge, and I spent 3 days there meeting with, talking to, working with our homeless veterans and some of the service providers out there. And I want to say thank you and a huge shout out to Ari and Chico, who are owners of Green Oak Ranch, and Matt Foster, who facilitates this program. This was the 4th year that we've had the stand down here at Green Oak Ranch, and it really does touch the lives of these veterans with the service providers. There were so many people there. The service providers included doctors of all persuasions. We had podiatrists, optometrists, general practitioner. I can't think of all of them, but we also had service providers who were working with transitional housing, trying to get them from the homeless encampment that we had at Green Oak into transitional housing, into other services that they needed. And it was just an entire community coming together to wrap around this community of homeless veterans. And every night at dinner, I would go in and I'd pick a table to sit at and talk to people and hear their stories and hear what their hopes and their dreams are for the future. And it was just an amazing experience to spend that time out there. So next year, I would encourage my colleagues or anybody to come out and volunteer at Stand Down and help with working with the veterans. It was very, very much worthwhile. And so anyway, that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay. Our Assistant City Manager, Allie Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two comments today. I just wanted to share with everybody that the Wave Water Park will be accepting job applications starting next Tuesday, February 14th. The application is on the Wave's website, which is thewavewaterpark.com, and you can either email it back or bring it into the Wave's office and drop it off there starting next Tuesday. And then next Monday, in observance of President's Day holiday, city offices and the library will be closed. Trash collection, recycling collection will stay on the regular schedule.
Our City Attorney, Daryl Piper.
Nothing further this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
How about our Assistant City Clerk, Claire?
Yes, I do. I want to say happy birthday to our city clerk, Kathy Valdez.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday, City Clerk Kathy. Do you have anything you wanted to say? No. Okay. So with that, we're adjourned, 6:16.